see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. You can start the time.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the product I chose is, I called it Smart Water Bottle. And here's a quick fact. Did you know that 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? So the reason for this product is because we often forget to maintain our daily water intake amidst busy lives. So the solution is the Smart Water Bottle. So some details about the product is that the name is obviously Smart Water Bottle. The country of manufacture, I chose Japan. The price is $30. The shapes can be round or square, like the shape of the bottle. The colors of the bottle can come in blue, red, silver, and gold, and the sizes are 500 milliliters or 750 milliliters. So some key features about the bottle is that it has a built-in hydration reminder that is customizable with notification sounds. There is seamless syncing with iOS and Android devices through use of Bluetooth. You can receive notifications through the synced phone and or the bottle itself. There's also an etched screen display of water consumed in milliliters. So on the bottle there will be a screen display telling you how much water you consumed in milliliters. The design is durable and leak-proof design. The battery in the bottle lasts up to 30 days on a single charge. So here is a design or some images of how the bottle might look. So this little green circle right here is to indicate the bottle is functioning, with each color indicating the charge level of the bottle. So green meaning that the bottle is fully charged, orange meaning that the bottle is half charged, red meaning that the bottle is near dead charge. And here it shows the small display of water consumed in milliliters. And on the bottom of the bottle, there's like a small caption here says, "Stay hydrated the smart way." And below that, there's the size of the bottle. So who benefits from this? So the audience of this selling pitch would be busy professionals because they never forget to keep a healthy water intake amidst tight schedules, and athletes to ensure peak performance with optimal hydration, elderly because they need regular reminders to stay hydrated, and also people wanting to switch to more eco-friendly products or lifestyle so they can ditch single-use plastics for the stylish reusable bottle. So the importance of my product is has importance on the health, environment, convenience, and style. So for health, you can stay on top of hydration to boost skin health, digestion, and energy levels, and much more. It's also useful for the environment because one bottle to use forever significantly reduces your carbon footprint, and convenience because there is no manual tracking or reminders of your water intake, so you let technology handle it. Style because it goes well with modern lifestyles due to the sleek, clean, and simple design. Okay, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
All right. So you took almost 4 minutes. All right. So thank you so much. This is really good. And I wonder, is it really in the market now?
Like, are you asking if this bottle like exists? Really
Yeah.
exists?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there's probably someone who had this idea and maybe actually made this bottle actually real.
Mhm.
Probably there are similar ideas that
Mhm.
actually exist.
Mhm. That's great. So, Yusuf, can you please also upload the rubric on your page? I can see the presentation, but maybe you didn't upload or you download the rubric, if you can.
Okay, I will upload it now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Yusuf. It's a brand new idea, or let's say it's creative. You know your audience, you know what to say. You talk about the aspect. There was only one thing I can recommend. I noticed that when you addressed that this is going to be helpful for the business people who you're supposed to say who never remember uh, to drink water. So probably the
Yes.
wording, yeah. Other than that, I think you tried to keep the format, you tried to keep the consistent heading, consistent bullets with the use of pictures, and this is to the point. Thank you so much for that. And Safa, you can also give feedback if you can, because this is again, as we discussed, it's a peer editing, peer learning. So we learn from each other. So give us your feedback, Safa, for Yusuf's presentation.
Yeah, I would like if your presentation was a bit longer and detailed,
Mhm.
just in case like there's someone in the audience that isn't really sure of isn't really a part of the audience that you're targeting. Yeah, that's my feedback.
Very good. Absolutely. So yes, I agree with you. You still have time. Each one of you would have like about 10 minutes with 10 slides. You give us like a very short presentation. However, you put it in a very interesting way. You make me, and I am sure Safa too, want to hear more. We wanted to get more details, and we wanted to hear more about the marvelous smart bottle, because it looks like very handy. It looks like in use, and it looks like very modern and applicable to nowadays usage. So well done for choosing the topic. And again, yeah, like if we ask you to add more details, what could it be, Yusuf? What are the other details that you can add?
Maybe I can add more details about how the bottle works, like how it is manufactured, how it is made. Maybe I can also explain more in depth about how the charging in the bottle works, how to charge the bottle, how does it display the amount of water consumed.
Mhm.
Go more in depth about just how the bottle functions.
Yes, absolutely. That could be one area. You could also bring us, if you, I wonder if you studied business, any of you, but there is something that we call the business story. So it is always good to mention some kind of a story to get the emotions of the audience. Like if you started like with an emotional story, like, have you ever wondered this and this and that? Or let me tell you about the story of a little girl who this and that. So the story, the business story would be a very good intro to such a presentation. And from the story you mentioned, or from the catchy attention grabber at the beginning, we can definitely be more interested to hear more about the details. On the whole, this is really good because you were able to draw our attention and to give us something brand new. Thank you so much for that. And did you upload the rubric?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So, Safa, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So, if you don't mind, you can also start your presentation. You also have to share the screen and start. When you are ready, let me know.
Are you able to see?
Yes, if you can put it in the display mode.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. When you are ready, let me know.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
My selling pitch. My selling pitch is selling good quality used clothing. Details. Clothing are manufactured in Canada. All tops are $10 and pants $20. Clothing range from sizes small to 2XL. Male and female clothing are available. Seasonal clothing are also available, customer friendly for families on a budget. And also this is for teenagers looking for an earning side hustle. Examples. So boys summer shorts is $19 in excellent condition, polo shirt $10 in excellent condition. This is the evidence. These are clothes from my own personal shop on a platform. You can see on the right-hand side is the male's clothing, and then on the left-hand side is the female's clothing. The shorts are for boys, $19. The shirt is for males, $10, and then $10 for the white sheer cardigan, $10 for the jacket. Why is it important to get? It is a great investment. It saves time and money for families, and stylish clothing are available. It is important to convey to families on a budget that investing in good quality secondhand items is not a bad idea and can often exceed their expectation for several reasons, which is cost savings, quality, environmental impact, variety and uniqueness, learning experience, resale value, and community support. Elevated side hustle. People in America have resorted to listing used clothing on platforms starting in 2020. This has given the reselling brand a whole new look and name, which became extremely trendy and earns them a big profit. Details. Clothing labeled as vintage. Depop user statistics skyrocketed in July 2020. Wearing an outfit that goes with the item, posing, giving unreasonably high prices, which is the trend value. And here's the Depop logo. Examples. The Depop app. Depop user selling a baby tee for $125 as vintage Y2K baby tee. A popular creator on the app Depop called N Mills. He has sold over 1,000 clothing items since 2020, and he earns a big profit from this side hustle. Examples continued. Here on the left-hand side, you can see the girl wearing the overpriced and long-titled baby tee for $125, which is very unreasonable. And here is the skyrocket statistic of Depop users in July 2020. Why is it important to get it? Can teach valuable entrepreneurial skills. It fosters financial independence. It provides a flexible and accessible means of earning income while leveraging their fashion sense and creativity. Key points. Investing in good quality secondhand is not such a bad idea for families that are on a budget. Selling clothes as a teenager is also a great investment for a side hustle. You could gain a lot of money. It's also important for teenagers to understand that selling clothes online can be a lucrative side hustle because it teaches them valuable entrepreneurial skills. It provides financial independence and fosters creativity. By engaging in this e-commerce, teenagers learn business fundamentals, they gain financial autonomy, and have an outlet for their creativity and fashion sense. This experience can be both educational and financially rewarding, empowering them for future endeavors. And lastly, manufactured in Canada, it is secondhand, it is for female and male, free shipping, good quality, minimally worn clothing. It's fashionable and season-friendly clothing. Any questions or comments?
All right, thank you. So you took 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes, You also could have elaborated more. You could have like talked more about the idea. It's really a good idea, and the only thing I am a little bit confused, are you selling a service or an idea? Are you promoting a certain idea? Are you encouraging teenagers and everybody to go for such entrepreneurial activity that is online, or are you talking about an application that is already existing? So having said that, it means you needed to know exactly what is the presentation is about. Are you selling an idea, or is it an application that you are making a promotion for? So can you answer that?
Yeah, it's an idea, but it's also a product.
That's why. So in that case, you need to be like more specific as
Yeah.
per the subtitles. You needed to be more accurate on what you're saying. Like, for example, maybe you could start from the more general, which is the idea. Why don't we make use of our time and money and recycle, or this kind of thing? And then probably you could give us as a proof of a success story or a successful application of the idea. You know what I mean? So that would be put it in more perspective, and to be like on more hands-on. However, you did a real good effort mentioning many details about, I would like to call it a project.
Yeah.
Many details about your project. The good thing I liked, which is when you talked about the slide, not reading of the slide, which is again, this is a good sign of successful presenters, when you do not just read what is written on the slide. A couple of slides, you showed us the title or the headline, and then you kept talking about it without even seeing those lines. This is something good, by the way. You would be doing that maybe in university life or in your practical work life, when you are showing results of research or some statistics, and you want to explain what is on the slide, so you don't have to read like line by line, word by word. So you did it well. So these are the general comments. I can tell you, you also followed the rule of having only 5 lines for each slide, probably less, which is again another good way of using your PowerPoint presentations. You used the pictures when it was required. You didn't use them like haphazardly. You used them in the right place. So kudos for that. So on the whole, Safa, you did it well. Maybe the only thing that you need to be like careful about, the audience and the idea you are selling, that would be like more preparation needed here. And thank you so much. Yusuf, you can give us your feedback too?
Yes. One thing I really liked about your presentation was that you gave evidence and you used the corresponding images to the examples you gave in your presentation. And I can also clearly tell that the content and the details about the idea were well researched and it was informative.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I like it when we share ideas, and especially if it is constructive feedback. We learn from each other, and especially like the first rule when we are giving our feedback is to be constructive, never to underestimate anybody, or never to use a threatening learning environment. It's always, we learn best when we are sharing a safe learning environment, and we feel secure and feel it's okay to get feedback or to get constructive criticism. So thank you, both of you. You are really great students. Thank you. You may stop sharing the screen. Yeah, thank you so much, Safa. All right, so today we will get into more details about Unit 3, which is related to short stories. So the plan for the short stories is to have some terminology to understand what are the idioms that we use and what are the words that we used for literature concerning short stories, because that will help us also to move on to the long story. So in this course, we will be studying a couple of short stories, and then we have another unit for a short story, or let's say it's not going to be like very short and it's not going to be a long one. We call it novella, which is going to be an in between. It's very famous in literature, but it is very easy. We chose it here in this academy to make things easy for our students. Okay. And we also later on will have a play. So the terminology you are going to get yourself familiar with this class will be very helpful for you to use in the coming course, in the coming units. Do you have any questions? Okay. So, in any literary work, when you have characters, you have, can you see my screen, first of all?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So there is a terminology, what we call characterization, which is the method that the writer uses to make a character in a story or in a poem, or sorry, in a story or a novel or a play. How the writer makes it look like a real person. So there are common ways for writers to illustrate characters through their speech, dress, actions, and mannerisms. So, my dear class, when you have a question related to one of the characters, like you are going to have questions to analyze let's say, the main character or some characters in the play, you will be talking about the character from the abstract point of view, and also from those tools that the writer uses. I wish you remember these very well, because you need to use them, to touch base upon them when you are analyzing a character. You need to give me some proof, evidence from their talk in the story or in the literary work, the way they are dressed, something about their actions and their manners in general. All right, there's also a term what we call allegory, which is a narrative technique in which characters represent things or abstract concepts to convey a message or to teach a lesson. Allegory is used to teach moral, ethical, or religious lessons, but it can also be used for satiric or political purposes. So when the writer is using like a small story or a small narrative, he or she aims to talk about something behind it. He doesn't say it out straightforward. So this is a kind of allegory. It's different from symbolism, as you will see later on, but somehow it is similar to using the subtle language of referring to something grave, but in a similar and small and easy way. We will see examples when we go into the course. The connotation in literary work, it's an idea or quality that a word makes you think about in addition to its dictionary definition. And this is really, really called a literary device that good writers use in their creations. It's an implication that goes beyond the actual meaning of the word. Connotations can be positive, like childhood. When the writer is saying this person is so connected to their childhood. So probably they wanted to refer to being innocent and being happy. When the writer is telling you, yeah, this personality, she always acts like the dove. When we say the dove is definitely we are referring to peace, and we're referring to people who help others to reconcile and to live happily. Or when we say somebody is a chicken, so this is referring to a coward person, somebody who's scared. Or when we say somebody is a rat, when we say he is a rat, it means he is somebody who can inform on the gang or on the group and go to the police or to the government and tell about other people. So certain words have connotation. So when we say black and white, it refers to being so clear. If I tell you, I do not understand all of this, I only understand black and white. So you understand that the speaker is a person who is straightforward, he's looking for exact definitions. Denotation is the precise or actual meaning of a word outside of the feeling it evokes. So the dictionary meaning of a word or a phrase is something, but the aim of using this word is another thing. So in fiction writing, the writers will play off a word's denotative meaning against its connotation or implied associational implications. Here is an example. A four-leaf clover, rabbit's foot, and wishbone are all considered things that can bring good luck. Okay, but they themselves are not luck. Likewise, a unicorn, the color white, the white dove, can all have the connotation of purity, peace, harmony, but they are not part of the actual definition of the word purity. So you understand now what do we mean? So when I say she is a dove, so what does this mean? She is full of purity or peace, okay? The dictionary meaning of purity is free from contamination or free from immorality, especially of a sexual nature. So this is what we mean by one word that refers to other meanings. If I say, for example, these people are like a hand in a glove, meaning they are very much connected. You could feel that somehow it is related to the simile and the metaphor, but of course here it could be like the longer and the larger than just a word, because this is not a poem. This is a story where you have a character and you can see the character acting like this and that, and here they are wearing this and that. So all of those clues can give you an idea about the character or the use of the words. This pyramid is really, really important to tell you what happens in a short story or even in a novel. So this is what we study now, with the terminology and the definitions for a short story can be applicable for a novel too. So this pyramid diagram of a structure of a dramatic work, any work, it symbolizes the theory of dramatic structure. So here is the dramatic arc, and it is known as comprises of 5 parts. The exposition, and then the rising actions, and then the climax, and then the falling actions, and finally the resolution. Any work ever in literature would definitely fall into this cycle. So the exposition, usually the beginning of the story. How did the story begin? The event, the setting, you can call it the setting. Where did it happen? What time? What age? Which century? Who were there? Who are the characters? All of this is just started right in the beginning, or what we call exposition. So the words exposition, climax, resolution, these are the literary terminology that you will be dealing with when you are writing in literature. But for your understanding, when we say exposition, it means the beginning of the story, the setting of the story. Okay? The rising actions, like when you start, two people are met in the cafe and there is some kind of tension. They try to avoid looking at each other in the beginning, but then they come closer and they start exchanging certain words, and their voices started to rise, to shout, and there were hands, gestures, and then they started to fight with each other, and there were some kind of injury. So where is the rising action here? The rising action starts when they come close to each other, approaching each other, starting to say harsh words, starting to use their hands in gestures. All of these prepare you as a reader for the climax or for the biggest part of the scene, what happened here. The final thing here, or the top of the pyramid here, is that they started clashing. They started fisting each other or pulling hair or punching or whatever. So they start to have the climax. And then other people get in to interfere, or somebody called the police, and then they stopped talking, they stopped shouting. Look at the stopped shouting and the police coming. We begin to move to falling action. So here is the rising and here is the falling action. The action or the problem starts to finish. Everybody's calm now. They are scared. The police is there. Somebody got them a cup of water. They sipped some water. They understand that there was a misunderstanding. One of them apologized, and the resolution, they left peacefully. They left the cafe peacefully. So see, what I told you now is just an oral story that I just made up out of nowhere, because I just followed the pyramid that you can see, the diagram that you can see. Any story in the world, any literary work would definitely fall into this cycle. Okay, easy? Okay, so now let's move to the word motif. This is really very good. Because sometimes you will see, for example, remember in the poetry when we used to highlight the repetition, like break, 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 and then in the middle of the poem, the poet again repeats break, break, break. Towards the end, repeats break, break, break. Similarly, the motifs is something similar to the repetition. It's a reoccurring aspect. Something. It could be an object, it could be an issue, it could be a word, it could be a certain lighting, it could be a certain sound, anything that you can use as a motif in the story. It can also be two binary elements in a piece of writing, like bad versus good. All the time, from the beginning of the story until the end, it's all a conflict between bad and good. For example, a recurring salient thematic element, especially a dominant idea or central theme. For example, if it is a child who is scared, you will see all the time, but where is mommy? And then after certain events and you read more, and then, but where is mommy? But where is mommy? And so on. So if you read the Thomas Hardy novel, it's a great novel, Tess of the D'Urberville. The writer is talking about, of course, he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in the existence of God. And there was the protagonist, meaning the main character, was suffering from the day she was born. Every chapter of her life, she's been into mischief all the time. So the writer kept saying, where is God to protect her? Where is God to answer her prayer? So all the time he kept saying, where is God? Where is God? So in that sense, it is a motif. Okay. The parable is a short story that teaches a moral or a spiritual lesson, especially one of the stories told by Jesus Christ and recorded in the Bible. So any story that has a spiritual lesson or an aim for religion or any lesson they wanted to give you, we call it as defined as parable. It follow here the first person. The narrator is either a character in the story or an observer. So you might read a story that the writer is telling the story of the characters as if the writer is an observer or an outside person. Or sometimes you read the story as the narrator himself or herself is the one of the characters in the story. So the objective here, the narrator knows or seems to know no more than the reader. So sometimes they just give you events and they give you facts, but they never tell you what is happening. They wanted you to discover it for yourself. Limited omniscient, the narrator knows some things about the character, but not everything. Take care of those definitions because you will have them in the test. So limited omniscient, again, is the narrator when they do not know everything about the character. They just give you clues or hints. Omniscient, again, here is the omniscient, not the limited one, is the omniscient who knows everything about the character. When they tell you all the details, so take care of the fine definition between the two words. The resolution is the act of finding an answer or solution to a conflict, to a conflict or a problem. And of course, it looks like very clear at the end of the story. But sometimes the story or the novel, what we call open-ended story. Open-ended when the writer doesn't want to impose his or her own views on the reader. They want you to make it up for yourself. They want you to decide. They want you to think it over, and they just let it for you to decide. Or they have other reasons too, because when they wanted to cause kind of confusion, or sometimes they wanted to, they are not 100% sure about the story, how it ended, especially if it is based on true stories. If it is based on, like many books you read about books that they tell you based on true events or true stories. Sometimes those events are not resolved yet, so they keep it open for you because we do not know what happened or what will happen. The syntax is the way in which linguistic elements as words are put together to form constituents such as phrases or clauses in a sentence or line or verse or dialogue. The organization of these words and the phrases creates prose, verse, and dialogue. So take care when you have a question saying explain or talk about the writer's syntax. So the writer's syntax, meaning in simple words, what is their diction? So you can find the word syntax or diction, okay? The word diction also can be related to the choice of words that the writer uses. Sometimes you say the writer uses harsh words, or the writers uses very simple, easy to read, one syllable words. Sometimes the writer is using monosyllabic or multisyllabic. So why? Because the writer wants to, all depends. Like when I ask you to write a story, it is up to you to decide on what syntax you're going to use, what kind of words, easy or simple or complicated. I think it's so clear. All right. The word tale is the story about imaginary events, an existing or dramatic story, a story about someone's actual experience, an existing story that may not be completely true. So we say that a tale, like a tale, when it is a tale, it is like, it could be fairy tale, like not realistic, not true one. Many times we say this is not a realistic or not a true story. So in that concern, we can differentiate between a fairy tale or a true story. These are all different types of literature, different types of stories. And as I mentioned, we're going to read a lot of stories in this chapter or in this unit. We're going to have short stories. Some of them you will read on your own. Some of them we will watch videos. Some of them you will have to create a comparison. But mainly the reading is all done by you. You just prepare yourself to get the gist of a story, the characteristics, the characterization, the theme of the story, the style of the writer, who's the author, why is he writing this story, the message, and so on. We also have something called the fable, which is a story mentioned through animals. Like if you are interested, if you like politics, or if you want to read about, the revolutions all over the world, we have Animal Farm by George Orwell, which is a great story, fable, because it's based on animals talking. Okay, you might think it's for children, but definitely it is not for children, because it is criticizing what is happening in the revolutions all over the world, mainly based on the Russian Revolution, but it can be applicable to all revolutions all over the world. Literature is amazing class. You would love to read literature because you learn, you enjoy, and also you develop your critical thinking and you develop your analytical skills. So having said that, we're going to have a break, and when you come back, you will be introduced to one of the short stories we have here in the class. Okay, you can take your break now. You can come back at 6:15. Unless you have any questions. Any questions, anyone?
No.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Come back at 6:15, please. Okay, so as we mentioned, we're gonna start the short stories, and we're going to, every time we will have a couple of short stories from different backgrounds, because the aim of the teaching here is to get exposed to different genre of short stories, and also different writers from all over the world. You will be reading something for an author from South Africa, from India, from America, all over, okay? So we're going to have the very first thing, a short story for Edgar Allan Poe. Who is this guy? Who is the author? He is an American writer. He's also poet, author, editor, and literary critic, who is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and the Macbeth. He was born on January 19 in 1980 and died in, 18, there is something wrong here, 19, January 19, and I believe in 1980 something. He died on October 1849, which means he is from the very old time. He is from the 19th century. He is widely regarded as a central figure of Romanticism and Gothic fiction. Are you familiar with the Gothic fiction where you get some scary stories, some horror stories, and I believe most teenagers like this kind of stories? You are going to read a very short story about this, which I believe is somehow interesting. You will have a look at this is the story here. But before reading about the story, I would like to share with you a short video about the story to get an idea about it, okay? So let's have a look at the short video here. Share sound. Okay. So the poem, the story you're going to get an idea about and read on your own, The Cask of Amontillado. Let's hear what is it all about.
You might be thinking, great, I don't even understand the title. How am I supposed to understand a story? So before we can start exploring Edgar Allan Poe's famous short story, we first need to define a couple words in his title. Amontillado is a very specific kind of Spanish sherry. Sherry being a fortified wine, and a cask is a barrel. So if you put that all together, this story should be called The Barrel of Sherry. But the Cask of Amontillado has a much better ring, don't you think? So, aside from being a story about a barrel of wine, Poe's short story is one of revenge and secret murder. It's a tale of terror starring two main characters, Montresor and Fortunato. Montresor is the narrator and the murderer. Fortunato is a wine connoisseur and the victim. The story begins with the narrator, Montresor, explaining that a man called Fortunato has wronged him 1,000 times over, but his insult is the final blow that has provoked his vow to revenge. He continues to assure us that he has given Fortunato no insight to the fact that he is plotting to kill him, and he plans to use Fortunato's knowledge of wine to lure him to his death.
This is Rachel. Rachel is a science teacher and she is fed up. This is Ryan.
Montresor continues to narrate his encounter with Fortunato at a carnival. He explains that Fortunato is dressed as a jester in a striped outfit and a jester hat with bells. Fortunato is also very drunk, and he greets Montresor with great warmth. Very quickly, Montresor entices Fortunato to come to his home to see the pipe of Amontillado that he has acquired. A pipe is just a word for a barrel. Keep in mind, this is quite a large amount of Amontillado. Montresor tells us that his servants are away from the house for the night, so they have the house to themselves. Montresor's home is large, and according to the details, we can assume it's been in the family for quite some time. When they arrive, they go into the catacombs. Catacombs are underground passages that are often places where the dead are buried. In this case, these are the catacombs of the Montresor family. Remember, Fortunato is very drunk, and he begins coughing. Montresor says he is concerned for the man's health and offers him more drink. At this point, Fortunato is getting a bit goofy, jingling with all of his movements, and accuses Montresor of not being a mason. Montresor says he most certainly is a mason and shows him a trowel, which is like a small, somewhat flattened shovel. When they reach the most remote area of the catacombs, they find a smaller crypt that is lined with human bones. From there, they see a recessed area, about 4 feet deep, 3 feet wide, and 7 feet high. Fortunato continues into this crypt, with Montresor urging him into the smaller space. Poor Fortunato is so drunk that he is confused as Montresor chains him to the area. Fortunato is still asking for the Amontillado, while Montresor brings in stone and mortar. Once Montresor starts building a wall at the entrance of the small area, Fortunato sobers up quickly. Montresor describes the sounds he hears as he builds, the jingling of Fortunato's bells and the clanking of the chains. Once the wall is about halfway up, Fortunato starts screaming, and Montresor mocks him. Fortunato calms and says, "A very good joke indeed," probably with his last bit of hope. Montresor humors him for a moment, but soon Fortunato realizes this is not a game. He screams, "For the love of God, Montresor!" and Montresor repeats his words. Then there is silence. Montresor, who wants Fortunato to continue to beg, becomes impatient and calls out to Fortunato, trying to provoke him. The man does not respond. In hopes of getting Fortunato to respond in some way, Montresor throws a torch into the only open area left. He hears the tinkling of bells. He says that his heart grew sick, but only on the account of the dampness of the catacombs. And then he finishes building the wall. Then he says the events actually happened 50 years ago. He concludes his reminiscence with "Rest in peace." So, nothing like a story about burying someone alive, right? This particular short story is known as Poe's perfect piece, with each piece of information, each step of the plot, being intentionally prepared and executed. No pun intended. Poe called this the unity of effect. Everything is relevant, especially each part of the plot. You might be familiar with the classic elements of plot and the plot diagram. Poe follows this concept intentionally, making each step of the story important to the next. The exposition is the introduction to the story. Usually, this is where we learn about characters and setting. Poe sets the story as Montresor's memory. We discover the main characters and, more importantly, that Montresor has vowed to seek revenge for Fortunato's insult. The conflict is what makes the story a story. It's the problem that must be solved. Montresor wants to seek revenge, but he's not quite sure how. His problem? He wants to seek revenge once and for all. He has a plan that begins as soon as he encounters Fortunato at the carnival. The rising action is the detail in the story that leads us further into the characters and lets us explore the conflict. As Fortunato and Montresor descend into the catacombs, each step is bringing Fortunato closer to his death, but of course he doesn't know that. The climax is the highest point of interest in the story. It's the point when the main conflict can be solved or not solved. Montresor is successful in chaining Fortunato to the wall. At this point, there is no escape. The falling action is usually any after effect of the climax. As Montresor bricks up the wall, we know it's all over for Fortunato, no matter how much noise he might make. Finally, the resolution is the conclusion of the story. All of the problems are solved, all loose ends are tied. We learn that Montresor is old, and the events he described happened 50 years before. We know he was successful. Because Poe was working to achieve the unity of effect, each part of his plot is relevant, building on the previous point and anticipating the next. Part of what makes Poe's story so seamless is his use of irony. Irony is a technique where the author uses the characters or even the plot to imply an idea that is actually opposite of what is stated. The most obvious ironic element of the story is Fortunato's name. He's clearly not fortunate in this story, far from it. In fact, there's a lot that is ironic about Fortunato beyond his name. First off, Montresor waits for a carnival to track down Fortunato, and the poor man is wearing a jester outfit, complete with bells. Normally, we associate carnivals and jesters with being carefree and full of life. Even the bells on Fortunato's costume would have been ironic to those reading the story during Poe's life. Premature burial was not uncommon during Poe's time. Sometimes corpses were buried with bells on their clothing in case they were accidentally buried alive. If the body moved, the bells would be on alert to open the casket. Of course, Fortunato is intentionally being buried alive, not accidentally, but Poe's craft does not end there. Montresor tells Fortunato, "Your health is precious," knowing, of course, his plan to end his life. Fortunato even drinks a toast to the dead when they are in the catacombs, not knowing that he will be joining them shortly. While these details may initially appear to be simply interesting pieces of the story, we can see that they are far more intentional, adding to the overall effect. Poe is the epitome of the dark romantic writer. The Cask of Amontillado is a story of revenge and secret murder. There is no logic for this punishment. It is a tale of terror. Here, Poe shows us the horrors of pure evil, a common theme or a statement that the text seems to be making about the subject in dark romantic writing. Montresor is evil. He is calculating and intentional in his planning for Fortunato's murder. Even in the end, he never really offers any sense of guilt. Even his reason for killing Fortunato seems so removed, an insult that is not defined or doesn't even seem to be something Fortunato is aware of, being that he is quite welcoming and trusting when he first encounters Montresor. Montresor is truly evil, and we, as the reader, should be horrified by his deeds. To wrap it up, Edgar Allan Poe's short story, The Cask of Amontillado, is the story of a man named Fortunato, of Montresor, who decides to seek revenge against a man named Fortunato who has insulted him. He meets Fortunato at a carnival, lures him into the catacombs of his home, and buries him alive. Poe achieves what he calls the unity of effect by intentionally building each element of the plot, intertwining it with irony. The result is a story of revenge and secret murder. This is a chilling, dark romantic tale to remind us that pure evil still lurks in the minds of men.
If you have an hour this week, you can learn a
So this is a quick analysis, a quick summary, and a quick presentation of the characters. As you will see, all the short stories, we're going to have like one character or two characters, maximum 3, 4, and it's going to be very fast, short, and there is always a message or a theme behind it. Your job is to read the story, understand the theme, the art of the characterization that the author did for the characters, and the messages that sometimes one message or more in one short story. You need also to apply the structure of having a short story, starting from an introductory or exposition, and then the rising actions, the climax, the anti-actions, and the resolution at the end. You also need to look at the literary devices or the literary technique that the author is using. Absolutely, this short story is a good example of use of irony. As you have seen in the clip or the video, you've seen the irony that they are in a carnival. The two characters, the main character, the murderer, and the victim are both attending a celebration, a carnival, where everybody should be happy, laughing, and enjoying. And in that very day, the victim was killed and burned alive. See how horror, how terrorist this story, a lot of fear. That's why we call it Gothic, black and black revenge and so on. When you read deeper in this story, you will know what causes this revenge. Why would they do that? So what I'm going to do now is again share with you the link for reading the story, and I'm going to give it to you in the chat box as well as sharing it in the here in the screen. So the link to read the story is here. I already sent it to you in the chat box. As usual, we agreed that we use the announcement area on our Google Classroom for discussion. So this is the story. See, it's not very long. This is the cask of Amontillado. Here is the story, and this is the dialogue. This is the dialogue between the two characters. What you are asked to do, see, it's not too long. It's a very easy, short one. The link, you have it. And I like when he says, rest in peace. Like, you know, as if you kill the person and then you pray for them and you say, rest in peace. So look at the irony here. So this is the short story you're going to read, and then you are going to write your comment. How did you feel and what is the story about in the comment box, the announcement area for